Disney's live-action remake of Snow White has been a train wreck from the start, and things are only getting worse as its release date approaches. Every trailer has been met with overwhelming backlash, with downvotes pouring in, and the controversies surrounding lead actress Rachel Zegler have only fueled the fire. It feels like every week, there's a new headline about her making another divisive comment, alienating potential audiences. At one point, she even dismissed Trump supporters, telling them she didn't need their business. Now, given the current box office projections, it seems the predictions of this film being a massive failure are likely to come true. Industry analysts estimate that Snow White's opening weekend could bring in somewhere between $48 and $60 million. That's a terrible number, especially when compared to other recent Disney live-action films. If this movie doesn't perform well internationally, it's in serious trouble. Considering the enormous budget, extensive reshoots, and the additional marketing costs, the situation is looking grim. Disney seems to be in full-blown panic mode, desperately trying to salvage what they can. They've even begun modifying their trailers to make it seem like this is a faithful, one-to-one remake of the original animated classic. They've spliced together scenes in a way that tries to evoke nostalgia, hoping to convince fans that this film is worth watching. But audiences aren't buying it. They can see through the manipulation, and many remain unconvinced that this remake will do justice to the beloved 1937 classic. Now, Disney's social media strategy has taken a bizarre turn. They've started actively hiding comments on their official posts, especially on X, formerly Twitter. At first, it seemed like they were only removing outright negative or offensive replies, but users quickly discovered that they were hiding almost any response that referenced the original animated film. One of the most glaring examples was a post from the official Walt Disney Studios account promoting Snow White. The tweet read, "Experience the magical musical movie event, only in theaters March 21st. But when users started checking the hidden replies, they found that Disney had gone out of its way to suppress harmless comments, including simple gifs of the original Snow White, fans expressing their love for the classic, and even neutral responses. This led to a wave of mockery, with people pointing out how absurd it was for Disney to be hiding images of their own iconic characters. One user posted, "She's the best," alongside a gif of Snow White blowing a kiss, and even that was hidden. Another comment simply read, "I'll stick with the original," featuring a still from the 1937 film, also hidden. Even positive or neutral posts weren't safe. A user with a Captain America profile picture wrote, "I can't wait to buy tickets for this." And, for some inexplicable reason, that comment was hidden as well. Meanwhile, negative comments that mocked the film remained visible, further highlighting Disney's selective censorship. One of the funniest moments came when a user posted a well-known gif of Donald Trump saying, "No," which was immediately hidden. But then, another user replied with a screenshot saying, "Disney hid this comment," and that post was hidden too. This cycle kept repeating, and soon, everyone was laughing at the ridiculousness of Disney's desperate attempt to control the narrative. At first, it seemed like they were determined to keep the criticism under wraps, but after a while, they completely gave up. As people continued digging through the hidden replies, they found pages upon pages of censored comments, mostly consisting of harmless gifs, nostalgic references, and playful jokes. After the backlash intensified, Disney finally stopped hiding replies, but the damage was already done. The attempt to suppress conversation only made the situation worse, proving that they were well aware of how much negativity surrounded this film. Meanwhile, the overall response to Snow White's marketing campaign has been dismal. The film's promotional materials have failed to generate excitement, and the lack of genuine enthusiasm from audiences is evident. There's a stark contrast between this and other recent Disney live-action adaptations, where at least some level of anticipation existed. Here, it feels like most people have already written this movie off as a disaster before it even hits theaters. Adding to the chaos, the film's lead actress, Rachel Zegler, has become a lightning rod for controversy. From her dismissive attitude toward the original film to her alienation of potential audiences, her public statements have done far more harm than good. Unlike other Disney stars who remain diplomatic and media-trained, Zegler's comments often come across as tone-deaf, giving critics even more ammunition. On the other hand, Gal Gadot, who plays the evil queen, has largely stayed out of the drama. She's a seasoned professional who knows how to navigate the press circuit without creating unnecessary controversy. Disney might be relying on her to salvage what's left of the film's promotional tour, but it's uncertain if she'll be enough to counteract the overwhelming negativity. At this point, Disney's best bet is to hope that international markets can help mitigate the damage. However, that's not guaranteed. Many of Disney's recent live-action remakes have struggled overseas, and given the polarizing nature of this film, it's unlikely to see a major boost from global audiences. Snow White's marketing campaign has been nothing short of a disaster, and Disney's increasingly desperate attempts to control the conversation are only making things worse. Hiding comments, re-editing trailers, and pushing nostalgia bait won't change the fact that audiences simply aren't interested. With a massive budget and poor box office projections, this film is on track to become one of Disney's biggest flops in years. As the release date inches closer, all eyes will be on how Disney handles the inevitable fallout. Will they double down on damage control, or will they finally acknowledge that this project was doomed from the start? Either way, it's shaping up to be a fascinating case study in how not to handle a major film release. Disney is about to take a massive loss with this movie, and they should have seen it coming from a mile away. There's no positive buzz, no excitement, and absolutely no goodwill from the audience. Every time they try to promote this film, they get completely slammed in the comments. It's honestly hilarious watching them dig their own grave. They might as well just turn off the comments entirely. I mean, I'll give them credit for not doing that. But at the same time, all the engagement they're getting is overwhelmingly negative. People aren't just criticizing this film, they're outright trashing it. And deservedly so. We've seen movies struggle before, but this is something else entirely. Even with a movie like Mufasa, The Lion King, there was at least some level of engagement, some discourse about it, whether positive or negative. And let's not forget the so-called rivalry with Sonic, which, despite how much people pretended to hate it, probably helped boost ticket sales. The back and forth gave Mufasa a level of visibility and controversy that actually worked in its favor. But with Snow White, there's nothing like that. No intrigue, no rivalry, no reason for people to care beyond watching the train wreck unfold. Every time they drop a new trailer or post about it, people immediately tear it apart. The backlash is relentless, and it's not slowing down. Rachel Zegler is at the center of it all, and Disney should have known better. She's been running her mouth nonstop, and audiences are sick of it. The era of the obnoxious girl boss is over, and people are tired of being lectured by out-of-touch celebrities who think they're smarter than everyone else. It's not just that the movie looks bad. It's that people actively want to see it fail because of her attitude. When actors trash the source material, insult the fan base, and then expect people to show up and support their film, they're delusional, and Rachel Zegler has done all of that and more. If I had to guess how badly this movie is going to flop, I'd say we're looking at a domestic opening in the $40 million range, maybe even lower. The worldwide numbers are harder to predict, but the domestic box office is going to be a bloodbath. A $40 million opening for a Disney live-action remake? That's an unmitigated disaster. The fact that Disney is still trying to act like everything is fine is almost comical at this point. If you check their social media, you'll see they have Disney Snow White proudly displayed in their bio, and they're still desperately pushing Rachel Zegler's involvement. It's like they're oblivious to the fact that she's a massive liability. Every time she speaks, she digs the hole deeper. And what's even funnier is the dynamic between her and Gal Gadot. People have pointed it out before. But if you watch their interviews together, the body language is off. They don't look at each other. They don't interact naturally, and there's this weird tension whenever they're in the same room. When they're separate, everything seems fine, but the second they're together, it's awkward. And there's an obvious reason for that. Gal Gadot served in the Israeli army, and Rachel Zegler is a loud activist for Free Palestine. That's an ideological clash right there, and it's clear as day that there's some underlying friction between them. But let's be real. The biggest issue isn't even that. The biggest issue is that Rachel Zegler is just an all-around nasty person. We've seen her pull some incredibly shady moves, and the way she treated Gina Carano is just one example. She jumped on the cancel culture bandwagon, joined in the dog pile, and actively tried to ruin someone else's career. That's who she is. And I'd bet money she was just as insufferable on set. The difference is that Gal Gadot actually carries herself like a professional, while Zegler constantly stirs the pot. This is likely the last big-budget film she'll ever lead. After Snow White crashes and burns, no studio is going to take that kind of risk on her again. She's already walking back her previous statements, trying to play nice and act like she respects the fans, but we all know what's coming. As soon as this movie bombs, she's going to have a complete meltdown. Once the Disney leash comes off and she's no longer contractually obligated to behave, she's going to lash out and blame everyone but herself. Just wait and see, and this is exactly why you don't let your actors run their mouths unchecked. Disney has nobody to blame but themselves. They've allowed this environment where their stars can just insult the audience, trash the legacy of their films, and still expect people to show up and pay for a ticket. But that's not how it works. People have had enough. Even Brie Larson, who was once one of the most disliked actresses in Hollywood, has learned to keep quiet. She saw what happened to her career, and now she's playing the game smarter. Rachel Zegler, on the other hand, is beyond saving. She's too arrogant, too self-absorbed, and too unwilling to take accountability. She's convinced that everyone else is the problem, and that mindset is going to cost her everything. She's not getting a redemption arc. She's not getting another shot at a blockbuster. She'll be lucky if she even lands mid-budget projects after this. As for Disney, they did this to themselves. They allowed their actors to run wild, never set a standard for professionalism, and now they're reaping the consequences. If they had any sense, they'd have kept her in check from the beginning. Instead, they let her destroy any goodwill this movie might have had. And now, they're about to suffer one of their biggest box office disasters in years. So, what do you think? How bad will Snow White flop? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. More content is coming soon.